This is one of my favorite teachings, as I said, the spelling spell, because again, it all goes back to the power of life and death being in the tongue, and the importance of names. So we're going to look at the spelling spell, the cursive, part one. Okay. Now you can look at cities, you can look at street names, you can look at product names, you can look at song titles and the names of movies, flicks, and you will find certain anomalies in the way things are spelled, forward and backward, different meanings, based on if you turn some words backward, like for instance, you take a concept as high as God and you turn it backward and you get a concept as low as dog. And again, I can show you many examples, and I will, and we're going to see why this is so. So it all goes back to what they first teach you in school. They teach you how to spell. And if you're a good speller, you may even receive a gold star or a silver star or a red star on your forehead, right over your pineal gland, or your what people call the third eye, the seat of your knowledge in your forehead, if you do well. And I maintain that our good teachers didn't know what they were doing by placing a pentagram right there in the center of our forehead, but it was directly related to the fact that the teachers themselves are indoctrinated through the Board of Education into teaching little ones witchcraft. Now, again, they're innocent, they don't know any better, but we must break this down because it's the days of revelation. It's time to do that. So what is the symbol of the Board of Education? Well, it's a tree. What tree is that? It's the tree of knowledge. Okay? So we're talking about a public school system that was admittedly created by the Masons, a secret society that unapologetically admits to looking at Lucifer as God and the God of the Bible as being an unjust and angry and unfair, unjust prude of a God. Okay, and that's what they teach you, and that's why you get Luciferianism running rampant throughout Hollywood and the music business. Okay, so when you're young and you do well at spelling, you may be asked to compete in the spelling bee. Now, it's interesting, the spelling bee. Why is it called a spelling bee? Why not a spelling ant? Well, a B. The B, the letter B, is a big deal in Masonic symbolism because it represents the 13. And 13 is nothing but, we don't have fear of any numbers or letters, but we're going to break down what those who put magical connotations to these things, we're going to break down what they believe and what they intend. And of course, once you know someone's intent and what they're really up to, it's hard for them to accomplish it, right? Especially if they need your ignorance in order to do so. So we're going to look at why the bee. Well, bees are a lesser-known Masonic sign, a lesser-known Masonic imagery. Why? Is it because they're builders? Is it because they operate with a hive mind? Is it because they're deadly? All of these things are things we can relate to the Masons. Is it? And again, the Masons are but the most popular of secret societies, and so the squeaky wheel get the oil. Okay, we know that it's the Order of Sin or the Order of the Serpent, the Brotherhood of the Snake, that is the oldest secret society and is truly the culprit behind everything still today. These ancient secret societies have cloaked themselves and renamed themselves and remade themselves and transformed into the many secret societies that we see today, the most powerful of which we know being the Freemasons. So sorry, you guys, but you get the bad rap because of your association. Okay, the Royal Order. Bees operate under a royal order, as do the secret societies. They operate under a queen. And in the case of Queen Elizabeth, Beth being Hebrew for house, the house of lizards, Elizabeth is what that means, the house of lizards. Queen Elizabeth, we know, has unique bee stitching inside of her ceremonial gowns. And that bee stitching, we're going to break that down a little taste. You look at the Boy Scouts. who are nothing but junior Masons. Their big symbolism is the bee. The Secret Life of Bees. Well, the main character in that was Lily, which is short for Lilith, and it starred Latifah, who those of us my age and in that range can remember as Queen Latifah. Again, going back to the symbolism of the bee. Right now, we're just showing you a couple of things about the depth behind this spelling thing and why we use the term spelling bee and why we use the term spelling. Okay, so you have Latifah, who was the Queen Latifah, who plays in this movie, Secret Life of Bees, which happens to be the last movie the movie that Jennifer Hudson was promoting when her family was sacrificed and slaughtered. It was this movie, Secret Life of Bees. And most researchers and truthers will say that it was because of her initiation into the secret society that she lost her 3 family members in such a tragic and sudden way. Bees symbolize the witches and warlocks within the secret society. Why? Because they operate under a hive and they have a unified mindset. So, we broke down the B part of spelling bee. Well, now let's look at spelling itself. Now, the science of putting together symbols to create words which express meanings, that science is not called wording, although it's the science of creating words. We use letters to make the words, but we don't call this science lettering. Letters are nothing but symbols, ancient symbols, but we don't call this science the science symboling either. We call the science of arranging letters together to create words and convey meaning. We call this science spelling. Now, why is it called spelling? You will know the answer. Consider this. When connecting the symbols, creating a fluid, illusory effect, we call it cursive. When you connect the symbols all together and you create a fluid illusion type of effect, notice how calligraphy looks. Calligraphy looks like pictures. Beautiful calligraphy especially, and some people have great beautiful handwriting, and it can almost be hypnotic to look at a whole page of well-written cursive because of the fact you are seeing these symbols not just separated as you do when you see print, but when you see the symbols connected, it adds to the psychic or supernatural magic power in the spell itself, the spell of spelling. So, and again, we're basing this off of Deuteronomy 28 and 49. And again, remember, a nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand. And that's what we've been under, and that's for all peoples pretty much who are from America. Your heritage is 9 times out of 10, unless you're a Native American watching this or an original Moor, 9 times out of 10 you come from somewhere else and migrated here to this land. And once you were brought here to this land, there's a language that you must learn in order to get along, and that language is English. And I should have done English, an actual breakdown of the word English, and we can see that comes directly from Anglo, and the word angel is nothing but a way of saying Anglo of L, okay, which is a racial term. We know that it was called the Malaki in Hebrew, okay, or the Malakut for the plural. But what is in a name? Well, my name is Theodore. There is the etymological part of that, and there is the tonology. The tonological part. The etymology of Theodore, they say, is a Greek word that means God's gift. Well, the tonology is Theodore, and we know that Theo comes from the Greek word theos for God, theology, theology, logi meaning logic of. So doorway. So my name phonetically and by the tone would mean doorway to God. Because remember, we're reading the wrong way. Everything should go from right to left, starting in the east, starting on the right. And again, we know east is relative to where the sun is, and what is the east to a universal being? Okay. But by the orientation that we use, we start everything on the right side, or the east side of things, and then we move west. And how ironic, that's how a lot of cities are populated. Okay, so logos and symbols. All right, in John chapter 1, it says, in the beginning there was the Word was God, and the Word was with God. And that, but the word that's used, the Greek word, because we're talking about the New Testament, so we have to go to Greek translations. The Greek word is logos, and logos are also symbols. I did a video about the logos of Nike and Newport. The logos, we call the symbols of corporations logos, because they are symbols, and one symbol equals a word. When you see that one Nike symbol, you know the word that it means. It's Nike. So logos, symbols, and words. You see how all that connects? Now look at words and verbs. They're the same word. You have W-O-R-D-S and V-E-R-B-S. Now you take them letter for letter. And because W is only a double V, actually, okay, so we take the double V and we break it down to one V. All of your vowels are always going to be interchangeable, okay? And I have a great example of that on the next page. But your vowels are interchangeable because they're primarily the same sound with different inflections. Some say they were the sounds given to the caveman to help the caveman form words. The ancient Kemet or Egyptian words, the ancient Hebrew words, were without all of the vowels that we have today. They were mostly comprised of hard sounds or consonants. And so the W or the V, W and V is the same thing. W is double U in French, but W means double V, duh. Okay, but you have the W is really the V. Then you have the E, O, U, or the A-E-I-O-U, all just variations of the caveman sound. Then you have the hard sounds at the end, the R-D or the R-B, the words or verbs. Do you hear the similarity? You can see the similarity too. I'm going to show you more. But think about positive words being proverbs, your proverbs in your Bible. Okay, proverbs, positive words, pro-words. Okay, overstand, know the ledge, and have a wise dome. The word understand, the word knowledge, and the word wisdom. Understanding, knowledge, and wisdom. All three of these are examples where you see the spelling trickery at play. And Masonic code words. Overstand is better than the understand, because in order to clearly see something, it is more advantageous that you stand over it and look in order to see its makeup. Now, to know the ledge, knowledge, that again has to do with Masonic building, because in order to be a proper builder and to work on a structure safely, you need to know the ledge. And we know that Rakim had a famous song called Know the Ledge, and I maintain that had to do with the 5% Nation of Islam's connection to the Masonic knowledge that we were unaware of by and large during the golden era of hip-hop. And to have a wise dome. Wisdom is nothing but wise dome minus your E's. Take that E out and take that E out, and you got wisdom. Wise dome. Now, farm. Pharmacy, pharmaceutical, pharmacia. Farm comes from farm. To farm, like a farm where you grow things. Well, that's your original medicine, was grown on a farm. Now, instead of going to the farm to get your medicine, you go to the pharmacy, and you get pharmacia. But you take that PH in pharmacy, and you give it its correct structure, which is which should be one letter for one sound. You don't need two letters to make one sound. So you take that PH and you turn it back to what it needs to be, and it's an F. See, part of what makes some folks bad at spelling, and we know that notoriously black kids are said to have a hard time with spelling and math, and it's partially because some of this stuff makes no sense, and it's hard for their little minds to wrap around things that make no sense. And when you're teaching a people whose ancestry read the right way, which was from right to left, how to conjure up these words and write them backward at that, of course we're going to have some problems and some issues with learning that. So pharmacia from fallen, pharmacia comes from the fallen angels, and it's by no coincidence that the nickname for the pharmaceutical industry is Big Pharma. Now, Big Pharma is responsible for some interesting drugs, and we're going to look at a couple of those names and their spelling. And one of them that's tearing up a lot of my nieces and nephews out there that might be watching is Xanax. Look at the word Xanax. It's interesting. They call them Z-bars, and the word does not have a Z in it. It's spelled with X's, and it's spelled the same way forward and backward. Now, my knowledge of demonology tells me, and my discernment, that this is a demon name. Demonic names are often able to be written the same way forward and backward. And I maintain that Xanax is one of those such names, and they call them Z-bars. And the behavior that people exhibit once they are under the influence of Xanax is akin to demon possession. I know people that struggle with taking bars, and all of you young brothers who think it's something cool to take bars, you will end up behind bars from taking bars, because it will change your nature and your ability to control yourself, and you're going to end up doing something stupid or crazy, either off the influence of or due to the withdrawal, because Xanax has terrible withdrawal symptoms. Well, right alongside Xanax is a new one also come out on the street. I'm not trying to promote any of these. I rebuke these evil spirits in the name of Yahshua HaMashiach. Is Norco. And Norco, if you know anything about words, you know about narcolepsy. Do you know narco means to sleep? And Norco is to put you to sleep as much as Xanax is to get you possessed. Now, we look at the word God and dog. Well, when you're a little kid, you first start to notice these. I noticed these when I was a kid. God and dog, devil and lived, evil and live. These are all examples of, hey, somebody's doing this on purpose. There's no way. First of all, with devil, you got 5 letters. You got 5 letters that mean something forward and backward that relate to one another. Now, Luciferians would like to have you believe and speak life into the devil. So, of course, devil backwards is lived, and evil backwards is lived. We have to remember, Daniel and Noah Webster are key to how we spell things and our understanding of spelling. They're key. They were father and son lawyers, founding fathers of the nation. And when I was a kid in school, I remember we had a story we had to read called The Devil and Daniel Webster. And it was required reading. And I've since, after doing these teachings, looked it up to find out about it. And it's still required reading in some places, but a lot of folks are familiar with this book. In the book, Daniel Webster battles the devil because Daniel Webster's ability to use words in wordplay is supposed to rival the devil, and they have a bet or competition to see who can beat, who has the better command of words, and Daniel Webster wins in the end. But you look at your dictionary, which should really be called a definitionary, but because it's trying to get you to say the word a certain way, that's how you put the magic in it. It's really about your diction. Diction is how you say something. So it's called a dictionary, and right there it should be some question, because it should be called a definitionary, but it's not. So we look at other words. Inspiration. Well, spire is your root word for spirit. Inspiration often comes to a musician or an artist or a painter or a writer by way of a spirit. They used to call it a muse, which is where you get your word music, a sick muse. All right, a per sign. Now you got per hour, per capita for your income. Per means a or each. person. Son is where you get sonic. This is Latin now. So per is a and son is sound. So a person is just a sound. You ever have somebody say you got a good vibration? What is a vibration? A sound. That person has a bad vibe. That person has a bad sound. What does a dog bark at when they feel some bad vibe on a person? It's a bad sound coming off of that person, and that dog can hear that frequency that you cannot, and so can babies. But let's continue. Now, this is an example of what I was saying before. All of your hard sounds are mostly original letters, and this is going to have to be a two-part teaching I'm seeing now, because I know I got 30 minutes, and we're almost coming to a close on the 30-minute mark. So I'm going to rush a little bit here, but I want to get all of this in, so this will be two parts. I'm sorry, I like to get it all in one part for y'all if I can. But this right here, great example. You can take each vowel, and you can stick any vowel in between, and you pretty much get the same meaning. It's about the hard sounds. So here we take B-L-N-D for our hard sounds. B-L-N-D. And we can put an A in the middle, and it can be bland. And we're going to do that here. Just give me a second here. We're going to put an A there for bland. And we can put an E in the middle, and it'd be blend. We can go all the way down now, the vowels. And just to show you that it's the consonants that are superior, vowels are pretty much interchangeable. We can put an I in the middle, and it'd be blind. You got A, E, I. Let's go with O. You can put an O in the middle, and it'd be blonde. And you can put a U in the middle, and it'd be blonde, which is the Latin original of blonde and the original of blunt, because D and T are interchangeable letters, and we will find more interchangeable letters as we continue through this. But bland, blend, blind, blonde, and blunt, or blunt, all relate, do they not? A bland thing doesn't have much taste. A blend is not the original thing. Bland, lacking in taste. Blend, lacking in originality. Blind, lacking in sight. Blonde, lacking in color. Blunt, lacking in tact. So it all has to do with lacking. You see? And we can also, we can relate some of these things also to the era of the caveman, and how the caveman's living was bland. He comes from the original man. He was a blend. Living in caves in the darkness will make you blind. Lack of melanin in your hair will cause you to be blonde, and lack of civilization will cause you to be blunt. Now, we can also do the same thing with the word sex, and six. So we're coming to a close in this one. This will be part 1. I'm just going to show you guys the page, so you can maybe jump ahead and get ready for part 2, because we're going to really try to rock the spot. Shalom.